After watching this video, you will be comfortable with doing GUI in opencv. The opencv GUI is not that rich, and in this video I will show all things about GUI in opencv. So yeah, basic code is very simple, extremely simple. You import opencv and I assume that you named your window. So when I refer to this variable, it refers to the main string. Keep that in mind. Couple of words about opencv images. All of your images are just NumPy arrays. When you create a NumPy array, or you read an image, or you get frames for webcam, all of those objects, all of those images are just NumPy arrays. Be careful, if you pass 0, you will get the grayscale image. And here you show this NumPy array, and then you want to quit this infinite loop by pressing the Q button. All you have to do is wait for key and get the code of the key, and then you compare it to Q, to W, to 1, and do some logic. The mouse acts in a very similar way. You make a little function where you process the events that you want to process. Events can be mouse movement or clicks, left, right, middle. Also, you can check whether you hold the Shift, Alt, or Control key. After this, you use set mouse callback on your window. And that's it. Here's the example that I wrote. It's doing something like this. It reacts to left button, middle button, and Shift key. This is Shift and left button at the same time. Sliders. Sliders are a bit tricky, so I made 3 functions for this. And then after naming your window, you make some sliders and you give them a name. For example, RGB. This is the minimum, the maximum, and the current value. Here is the usage. I will get my RGB sliders values via getSlid function and then print them. For setting the sliders value, I will use setSlid. So there they are. Let's actually run this. So I move my sliders and click the W. They actually output the value. And by clicking the E, I set the 10 to all of those RGB sliders. For making button, call create button, press the button text, and what function will be called when you press this button, aka callback function. I made more functions, you will see why later. The third argument, if you want to pass it, is user data, so that you can pass Python objects. Checkboxes are made by giving the 1 and the check status. 0 is unchecked, 1 is checked. The radio button is the same as checkboxes, but you pass 2 instead of 1. So here is the example. If I run it, I have a problem on my Ubuntu system. It's not showing the icons. So click Ctrl P. You will get this window, and now you can use your buttons. You can see the user data appearing. You can think that, okay, so checkboxes can be implemented in a different way. So I made 3 functions that are very similar to make a slider, but I don't have minimum and maximum. I only have a state. So I made almost the same thing, but I just passed the true or false. And I made like draw face, draw legs, and draw hands. And I've made a little example. So here are my functions, here is my declaration, and here are like drawing stuff. So let me show you. If I click W, it will draw the half of the body. So basically I use sliders with 2 values. The last thing is showing the messages. So you add 3 lines, and now instead of print function, you can call message box up or message box down. It's very similar to the first example. So E and A shows empty and hello, and the R key show fields at the bottom of the window. So you can draw a little map for GUI. Keyboard events, mouse events, there are sliders, there are buttons with checkboxes and radios, and messages. That's it. The fun part is practice, yeah. Try to show hello when you press Q. Try to resize the image when you press W. I like to use keyboard events instead of creating buttons, because it's just one click. Explore the documentation and you will find the select array function. Try to use it. Try to play with mouse events and make a little drawing application. You can use my code for help. Check out the video description. For documentation you can use C++, OpenCV documentation, or Python documentation. Try to go further and even try to use OpenCV C++ code. Just try it. There are so many interesting things. Well, I hope you learned something. Bye!